Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. And I'm here in the room with Deborah, who is in the US, in the state of Colorado, and I am in Montreal in Canada right now. We're expecting a few more people to join us for this hangout that we are conducting on the new moon and on the full moon. And today is the new moon in Aries. So, just going to introduce what has been going on for me to start the reflection process, since our hangout is all about a co-creation of an emergence of a new way of being seen as women, really, of manifesting our essence as women and bringing our voices out. Come out of that hiding, in a way, like I know I've been hiding a good part of my life. And what I have been realizing, actually only last night, a lot of things came together for me, especially since it has been a very challenging few months, since February, March, and for the last 2 months, been very challenging. Transitioning back to Canada, living in my mother-in-law's house, my husband, retiring, being around all the time, taking care of his mother as good as possible, my daughter moving from Montreal to Ottawa. I mean, all the challenges have been just, every possible challenges I could imagine have come together in this last 2 months. And me noticing, last night, actually, I was on a call with Deborah Poneman and Marcy Scheimoff in the course that I'm taking with them, Your Year of Miracles 2016. I have kind of surrounded myself with support and help because I knew this would be a very challenging time for me. So I've kind of put myself in structures. And this Women's Wisdom Circle is one of those structures that we have co-created together to help and support each other. But what I was realizing yesterday is that despite I made a clear choice about 25 years ago when I had my daughter to join her father, my husband, and who worked in the Middle East at the time, I was always filtering all my experiences through having not been able to be as successful as I could have been according to an old model if I had stayed in business the way I was in business for the first 42 years of my life. And what made me realize that is some comments that Deborah Poneman, who is the author of Say Yes to Success, she was very prominent in the 80s, around the time where I was doing similar things in Montreal and being, leading workshops in corporations and private workshops and all kinds of things. However, I made the choice to be a mother first and have a family life first. And what kind of made me shift and realize this, this is a comment that Deborah said yesterday on the call, and this is not you, Deborah, this is another Deborah, where she was saying that she chose to let go everything, her business that she had built, and she was, speaking internationally at the time, and raising her kids. And now she's coming back after she has raised her kids. So when I saw it, and this is, I'm seeing myself through an old pattern of comparing myself to other people. But this time, it was not comparing myself to all the successful people who have an internet business that I constantly kind of feel like I am not there yet. I haven't done that yet. But kind of looking at it now from another angle, that really I have lived up to a choice and taken some very courageous decisions at the time to leave everything that I had, move out of Canada, go and live in Saudi Arabia, and be in a family life, raise my daughter, and travel internationally. And I was able to shift last night and seeing all the blessings, the adventurous life that I have chosen, because definitely it was a much more adventurous life than if I had chosen the corporate kind of career. So, I mean, those are the things that came to me. And I'm also, this morning, I was doing a meditation with Oprah and with Deepak Chopra. And the theme was transformation is about your personal life. You know, it's about the story. Transformation is about the story of your personal life. And I suddenly, it kind of all crystallized for me. I was holding an old story over a choice that I made 25 years ago. So I was filtering my life through an old story and always feeling like a lack of something when really I have an abundance of so many things. So that was like a totally new way of holding my life experiences, and I feel very grateful for that awareness. Now, I just felt like I needed to share that, and I want to maybe do a short little meditation like we always do this, you know, so that you can kind of listen into what is coming up for you, as it might be something completely different, and that's all right. We always work with whatever emerges in that space. And I know that most likely a few people will join us a bit late today, so we will kind of take it from there. So just let's take a moment to get centered, and perhaps close your eyes if you feel comfortable in doing so, Deborah. And let's include whoever will be joining us late or who will be listening to the replay of this call whenever it will be appropriate for them to do so. So taking a few deep breaths, really allowing the breaths to connect us to our higher essence, to who we really are. That being that is having a human experience. That being that is having a different human experience through each of us. And that is bringing a unique perspective to life that is needed. Our voices individually are needed. We each hold a piece of the puzzle that we need to weave together collectively. So allowing that breath to ground us, just imagine grounding roots deep into the earth, connecting you to the center of the earth. Allowing that energy from the earth to move through us, to fill us, to help us get centered, present, in tune with the larger field of life. And taking another deep breath in, imagining our connection now to the universe, that immensity that our planet is a part of. And imagine that universe shining down a light onto the top of our head. And just imagine that ray of light moving through our core, through our body, and connecting to the center of the earth. So that is like a a rod of light, a connecting energy, a grounding tool, an antenna to our guidance system, listening in to what wants to emerge through our heart space today in the circle. Just taking one more moment to listen to that voice of spirit, that different voice that sometimes we don't hear because it's clouded by the constant critical voice of ego. So just allowing that higher energy, that higher vibration to presence itself in the circle and speak through the interconnected space of connection. Taking another deep breath in, and on your exhale, just release into the earth. Taking another deep breath in, gradually coming back to where you're sitting in the other part of the earth. Since this is an international circle from all over the world connecting. Taking another deep breath. Coming back to normal consciousness. And whenever you're ready, coming back into the room, opening your eyes and connecting in the virtual space. I unmuted you, Deborah, since I was hearing some noises. So you need to unmute yourself so that we can have a conversation if you want to.
Okay. Thanks, Aline. I'm not sure what the noises were. It was real quiet here. So
yeah, but sometimes it's just the internet doing that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Some interesting things, just as a piggyback on what we discussed earlier this week on our very brief call on Monday. And some of the transition piece that I think you're going through a different type of transition than I'm going through. But I'm realizing that this transition that I'm looking at today is a transition from imparting the wisdom that I've gained and continue to learn more and more, because I continue to learn every day, into what is this life of an encore career, or just beyond that, to living in retirement and the lifestyle of retirement for me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm coming up to my birthday in July, it's bringing up a lot of thoughts, because I'll be 70, and I don't think I'm ready to quit doing what I'm doing. However, I have a lot of strong desire to maybe open up some other facets of my life more,
Mm.
and to really bring some of those facets that have been more on the periphery more into the center. And um, so I think with the co-creative aspect of it, it's what is this legacy that I'm wanting to provide to my profession, basically,
Mhm.
and other people professionally. And then what is the evolution process that I'm going through as I'm moving into those years where I do have full choice about what I do. And I think it's something that is a transformation process for me, and I'm sure it is a transformation process for a lot of other women who are also looking at this, because we were socialized and given this map to follow. And when you talk about, you chose to be a mother and to focus on raising your daughter, following a career, and now you're back to looking at how do you want to redirect that career focus. And I'm sitting here going, I want to focus on pulling everything that I have gleaned over a 40 plus year career into my writing. And at the same time, I don't want that to be consuming my every minute. It's like letting go of some of that work mentality to bring in some of the things that I enjoy and some of the things that I've wanted to explore. I think that's a big piece of it, is there are things that I want to explore more, understand more on a spiritual realm. And so I think as I'm talking about this, it almost feels like part of what I'm doing is breaking out of a mold that I was put into.
Mm.
And in that breaking out, it's not just a giant leap. It's like cracking the shell around me and peeking out and taking a look and dipping my big toe in the water and saying, how does this feel? What does this connect for me? Does it work for me? Does it not work for me? So I think there's a lot of questioning that I can look at through some of my journaling processes, that up until this point, it really hasn't been at the forefront of my mind. It's more been, it's sitting back there kind of on hold. And now I feel like I'm going to start moving forward with that. And I don't know how that looks. I
Mhm.
don't have a clue how that looks. Um,
Mhm.
and so it's a different exploration and transformation.
You know, there's what I'm hearing is like you need to muster up the courage to break free of the conditioned shell of being in a career.
That's true.
And if I, because I see a parallel. What I did when I was like about 25 years ago, I did just that. However, I did not have the awareness and the wisdom that I have today. So there was a
Mm-hmm.
part of me that kept judging that I should have been able to do it all. There was that voice. And it seems that this voice was still very loud at times, but at least I am now in the moment able to recognize it, and it's no longer driving my old story. So it's all, even if it's very different circumstances, but it's again about how can we weave a different story for women. Because I've jumped into career as a way to exist, because women as such, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, your career was also as a way to exist, it was the only model that existed if you wanted to be different than the programs that we had, given the, like you're going to be 70, I'm going to be 70 in a few years, so we are in that same time era. And at the time, the only model I had is my mother, who was a housewife and really had given up her job. She had a job, she had a profession when she married my father. But she's always told me, don't do like me. So I didn't do like her. But at one point I made a choice, because I had learned to make choices, which she never had, because she had given up something to live, So there is this same quality that wants to emerge now. How can we enjoy who we are with all the knowledge, which is like the career and the research and the writing that you have done and the books that you have written, and also now allowing that guidance, that spiritual voice, that higher self to take precedent and to speak louder than the mold.
Right. And it is like cracking that shell, because we get stuck in that mold. And even though I wasn't molded towards a career, in some ways I was. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy, because I was given a message from my mother that I should be a mother and a housewife. And I was given a message from my father that I should have an education and a career. And then there was this little attachment to that, in case I needed to support myself. But it wasn't right in the forefront of the picture. It was kind of this little piece dangling off the edge of it. And then as a result of getting divorced, which was not supposed to be what the encase was. The encase was supposed to be, in case my husband died and I had to support myself and my children. It was never in case you get divorced and you have to support yourself and your children. So right there, I was breaking that mold in that way. But I got entrenched in, then my career and my work was who I was. And now I'm coming back around to say, who am I outside of this career?
Yes.
And so I think it's not going to be an overnight process. It's going to be much more of an evolutionary process to figure this out.
Yes. Welcome to the essence of you.
Right.
Yes.
And
to the discovery of the rainbow colors of your essence.
Exactly.
And of sharing it through all your gifts and all your abilities, skills, which are so numerous. So welcome to that.
Yeah, thank you. So it'll be interesting to see that process. So few months.
Mm.
So I know we had somebody else pop in here, so I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you, Deborah, and welcome, Harriet, in Finland. Let me just. Liz popped in. She might have internet problems. I was just coming here again. Liz in Finland also. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Aline. Good to see you again.
Great to see both of you. Yes.
Yeah, we came in about approximately the same time.
Okay,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Well, just to give you a brief context, we keeping sharing about what emerged last week. You know, like how can we be seen authentically, and what does it mean to be seen authentically? You know, for me, what I shared at the very beginning, and you might not have been listening into it, you know, is like my realization that I made a choice, some very courageous choice actually, about 25 years ago, to abandon a career to raise my daughter and to go and travel, to live across the world, you know. And however, I was always holding a filter that this was not all right. I should have been able to do it all, you know, like the family, the traveling, the career, the corporate kind of jobs, and the blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and what I realized is like, no, this, you know, I had an adventurous life, and I have gained such a different perspective that so many people don't have because of it, and what a blessing that was. And I'm now learning to appreciate that and feel gratitude for that, and see how I can weave all of that together. And Deborah was sharing how her her life has been all about her career, and now approaching her 70th birthday, how can she now bring in that full color of who she really is, you know, that spiritual drive, all her other interests, which are, you know, I know she is a painter also, you know. So this is where we are at in the conversation, and I'm just welcoming you to see whatever you want to share and contribute towards that emergence of that feminine presence in the world, you know, which is not following a masculine model of how it should be, according to who says what anyway, you know.
Yeah, wonderful. I listened into that, how you said, how do you show up as your authentic self? So how do I know that I am authentic and not trying to be somebody? I have recently experienced in a group, for example, when I presented myself, I was really surprised here a couple of weeks ago how I spoke strongly from my true being, which is not the physical body, but first and foremost, I'm a spiritual being in a physical body. And I was able to speak from that truth and see what it made to the room, where everything was kind of, we discussed spiritual leadership, which is an interesting topic in relationship to the feminine leadership. So what does it mean in practice? And this is a topic which is not in Finland yet lived out, but it is exploding in the US, as we heard there during the workshop. So there are researchers researching this topic, and this is interesting for me because I think in the spiritual leadership, at least, we need to be authentically ourselves and to show up with all our gifts and to share our gifts. So, and to revise the whole idea of what is a career. Allowing ourselves to do what we love the most and to give of ourselves to the world, not thinking in boxes that now this is the career, this is the job, and this is the family, and this is, because it's all in there. And I try to let that be in and had a very strong time here around Eastern, where so much of the old guilt was removed from me, or I was able to let it go. And that guilt also with choosing between family and vocation. there is space for both, but we should not be attached to either or. But we should be true to ourselves. Then I think it's possible to have it all somehow, but maybe in a different way than we thought it would be. And I'm just thinking out loud here now, as we used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what is triggered for me is when you say that, Hayat, is learning to respect our needs and to know our needs and then express them in a certain way so that they can be heard by the other one, and not with an expectation that because we express them, they should be met absolutely because now we have expressed it. That's a big learning for me now that I'm again in a family setting, where all those things are triggered constantly.
Yeah.
That is what has been coming up for me also lately, and what's coming up, in the awareness when you are speaking, And I've just noticed that Heidi in Italy is listening in, but she will not come into the room. She just sent a message. So, and also welcome Vivian in California, just joining us. Okay.
I just wanted to say that I've been trying to get on for 40 minutes now, and it said that the link was invalid.
Oh.
So I kept getting an error message.
I don't know what's happened,
Now it's working. So I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt anything. Go ahead.
That's fine. You can chime in.
I'm not sure what the subject of the conversation is, since I missed so much.
Well, the subject of the conversation is again emerging your authentic self, your authentic feminine self, expressing your needs, being seen, all that. You can say it in so many other ways, and making the choices to be authentic. Anything else that I have not said, somebody else wants to kind of chime in and say, how to, and also how to move out of the mold of a certain career that we have been in for most of our life, and allow the guidance of that spirit, I guess, spiritual voice to emerge something new. And what is that something new? Just being present to what is emerging and allowing that emergence rather than thinking it should look a certain way. I don't know if I have kind of resumed what has been said so far. Deborah, you were here with me since the beginning, so you can complete if I missed something.
I think you hit it right on the mark.
All right. So Liz, would you like to? Yes, Liz. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And I jumped in a little bit late, but I think so did Harriet. Happy to join you tonight. What I actually would like to hear is from you, Deborah. If I understood it right, you sort of opened the conversation about how to be present with everything that you are. So what kind of choices have you made? How are you making the different levels, the different aspects in your being? How are you making them present, seen, experienced? How does that happen?
Well, Liz, this is kind of a new process for me because I've really been struggling with this only for a few days.
Okay.
And one of the things that Aline mentioned was my art, and I've been painting now for about 15 years. So I've learned to express a lot of my emotions through my painting and do a lot of that intuitively. but it's like a sideline for me. It's more of a hobby versus sitting in front of my computer every day and writing. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm starting to say, okay, how much of what I'm doing every day is holding meaning for me versus expanding into more of the spiritual side of myself, the side that I've kind of put on the periphery, and wanting to bring that more into focus. And the painting has been one way to do that, although I'm still working on that mentality that we were talking about earlier, where you have to work to exist. And as I'm moving to that point where I can say, I don't need to work to exist, I can just be. And how does that look? So I'm just in that first part of exploration of that, and it's interesting to me to just see this part coming out, and I'll be doing a lot of journaling to kind of get a sense of what's going on inside of me. So does that answer your question?
Oh yes, it does, and I'm really happy for you that you have taken this step, and you're willing to explore. You're willing to think anew, experience something totally new, and I'm not quite sure if this is totally related or in the core of the subject, but I would like to sort of bring it to the daylight anyways. I've been doing some research around honesty lately, during the Eastern too. really deep work around honesty, and honesty has a gift sort of written in it, and honesty, well, at least in my research, is a bringer of peace. And the peace is both ways, inside and outside. It works in me and from within me, and it brings peace also to the other person that I'm talking to or working with or just communicating in any ways. And I've been known to be very honest and straight with my wordings and lyrics before, but I found a new level in it, and that is probably the sort of the line that takes us to what you're going through at the moment, your process. And if we let's say ask for honesty all the time, honesty, of course, first and foremost to myself, and being aware that when I'm honest with myself, I'm also honest with other people. And when I'm honest with myself, and for that reason in peace, which accumulates joy and happiness and love and whatever, it's a source of for so many things and feelings and plenty. Probably that is what I'm making in concrete, in my behavior, in my wordings, in my lyrics, in my paintings, in my work, in my communication, possible also for others. So being honest is like standing naked in a full mirror, you know, in front of a full-size mirror. And you're wondering, which are the parts in me that are the most honest, that bring peace for being the most honest? How does that resonate with you? What kind of ideas does it Rose?
what? Okay, go ahead, Deborah.
Okay, so Liz, I want to thank you for that, because it really does bring it down to that gut level for me of saying, okay, what makes sense for me in my life today, and how do I get to that place? Because it's not just where I am today, it's where I'm going, and in order to understand where I'm going, I have to know how that would feel, because I want to attract that. I want to use the law of attraction to bring that to me. And being honest is really what my journaling is about, because there it's all private, it's my thoughts, no one intrudes there. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, and I will definitely incorporate that as I'm doing my journaling.
What comes up for me when I hear you say about honesty, to me there is a link with self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is something that you can reveal to yourself by journaling. And to me there is a link between honesty and authenticity. So, we were talking about how can we be authentic. So how can we tell the truth about what we really want and need, rather than tell the old story that the ego mind has been kind of conditioned us to tell? All that is what is emerging for me when I hear you speak, Liz.
I really appreciate, Liz, your input with the honesty, and I can feel the depth of it. You have gone deeply into it, because you also share those wonderful feelings that are hiding behind that honesty. I have applied, at least tried to learn to apply honesty and being truthful to myself now for many years, because it has been for me the only way to kind of survive. There was no any possibility anymore to lie to myself, to keep up the life lies I had incorporated about myself foremost. I had total wrong perceptions of who I really am. All those feelings of unworthiness and shame and all this, it was totally an illusion, not related to who I really am. So honesty about this is to really have the courage to look at the reality into the, so to say, what is it really? And as you say, also other people resonate with it when you speak from that place of truth, your own truth. It opens up for others to share their own truths. And this is very powerful healing. And yeah, this is all what I want, actually, honesty, and even the rawest honesty. The most, sometimes the honesty can be very ugly also. It is not nice. But being authentic is also embracing these parts. Those parts that maybe have been in the shadow for a long time and need to be invited into the light and transformed. And so honesty is, feels good. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for sharing your experience and thoughts too. You're quite right about, Harriet, about the honesty's, let's say, character. To me, it's never really ugly when it's pure, when it's genuine, sincere, not just masquerades. And but it has this ability to be really clear-cutting, very bright, and almost hurting in its brightness. And then you know that there is a lot of authenticity present at the moment too, when it's so bright and so clear that it almost hurts, but it doesn't, because you know that there is so much respect present at the same moment. There is so much value, I guess is the word, appreciation, and then there is the peace, because you know that that level in communication, that level in feelings, that level in your message definitely resonates, definitely causes some action, is a call to action. For some people it may be ugly, like you said, which is a good word to describe it, or it can even hurt, like really painfully, because they do recognize that they have not seen honesty ever before. And this is that I have been facing lately quite a lot. People that have never met honesty, the way you said, raw, in that way very beautiful, very authentic, very sincere, with respect, always with respect. Never the intention is to hurt anyone, but to bring it on the stage with respect. And people are shocked, sad, sometimes even furious, because I'm showing them that they have never received honesty before in their lives. So that brings them into a situation that they didn't want to find themselves. And I'm always saying, please don't shoot the messenger. And there's a lot that we can do with the situation and so on. I want to support them. I want to encourage them to find the first level of honesty, and it's by experience it, how it feels, what it makes me feel when someone is being sincerely honest, bright and clear in her honesty. These are the thoughts that I wanted to share. Please continue.
What is touching me about what you share is being ruthlessly honest with respect. And I have noticed recently for myself that sometimes by being very honest to my needs, I react in a way that is not respectful of another one. It's like I know myself, and I have that. So the boundaries are clear, and I kind of blurb out whatever fits with my own. But it's the way I do it can require some work. I need to work on that. You know, it's like that's what kind of is reflecting back to me. It's like my way of being honest to myself is to know my boundaries and express what's coming up for me, but it's not necessarily always in the most respectful way. It comes out as a reaction, and that is a good point, you know, to start kind of integrating another way in my expressions. Thank you, Liz, for that. Yes, Viviane, go ahead.
Hi. Well, I just want to continue in the same theme. I've been working on integrity, honesty, accountability, really knowing what I'm feeling in order to express it in a non-threatening way to others for years and years. And I realized at a certain point in time that it's not about blurted out honesty. It's about considered honesty. In other words, when we consider the other person's feelings and where they're at, and whether they will be able to respond to the layer of honesty, because honesty comes in different layers as well. And when you get to the bottom layer, which is the raw one that you were referring to, I believe, Deborah, that is the hardest thing for someone to hear, someone else to hear. So, especially when I'm working with a patient, I prepare them for that in a subtle way so that they're not totally rocked off their core, you know, because it can really be completely wounding to someone who's not ready to accept it. As far as friends are concerned, I've been in the line of fire a lot with, well, I guess they weren't real friends, to be honest, because I've been always sincere about how I feel. I always expressed my desire to connect in a way that is not phony or put on. I don't have time for mundane talk, to tell you the truth. I don't even have patience for it anymore. So I don't even expose myself to situations, social situations, in which I'm going to have to put on something that I'm not. I just don't. And when I'm around someone who is not being true to herself or himself, I sense it immediately. It's sort of like a red flag that comes up that is like they're waving it way in front of me, and I have a hard time tolerating it these days. I think to myself, no, I don't have time to deal with this, or the energy to deal with this, you know. So I find myself spending a lot more time in contemplation and meditation and quiet and even isolation in many ways when I'm not out there taking calls and talking to people and getting, working with their chaos, so to speak. So it takes a lot for all of us who are in the helping mode or profession to be able to recharge, to be able to get away from all the stuff that we are collecting, because we're all highly sensitive persons, I think. And so we're absorbing all of that, and we need to be able to discharge all of that in a healthy way, of course, and at the same time to be able to recharge our own batteries. So I'd like to ask each one of you what it is that makes your heart beat in a positive way, what it is that helps you to recharge. What do each of you do to recharge your batteries?
Okay, to recharge my batteries, I have a space first thing in the morning where I meditate, I ground myself, I journal, and usually listen to an oracle card, or sometimes, that's, like a kind of a message, ask for a message. And very often in the evening, I'm not really totally doing it systematically. It's like if I feel I have taken in a lot, I lie down on the floor. And another thing I do in the morning is to give myself a Reiki treatment before going out of bed. That's the first thing, okay? Like I balance my chakras, and then I do like my little ritual. It could take me an hour, but I need that. I realized if I don't have that, then I react a lot more whenever I'm triggered in my whatever is not being, when I'm not seen for who I am. Basically, that's what I'm identifying. When I'm kind of being taken for granted as the caregivers and whatever, that's when I react strongly. And the other thing that I do in the evening is like when I feel extremely stressed, take a shower, wash off, and lie down on the floor. You know, kind of discharge whatever I've accumulated in my body to the earth. That's something that I've been doing now quite regularly, and it works. And what I'm incorporating now is more space of meditation during the day. Well, kind of leaving everything, because I am in a scenario when I'm no longer alone. When I'm by myself alone, like when I was in France, I mean, I had none of this thing kind of attached to my field. I was always in my blissful self. So now I notice that I need a lot more space where I retrieve and reground, reconnect, meditate, and journal. Actually, I do it more often than once a day now, you know, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, just to keep connected and not fall into the old patterns, you know. So that's for me. And how about you?
Okay, I'll share mine. For me, the most important thing is to be connected with Mother Earth. And I do it in various ways. I breathe with the sea. Even during the winter, I do something that is called winter swimming, which means I dip and dive into the ice-cold water, covered with ice up here. And I do it for the connection. I need the connection. I walk a lot in the nature with my 2 dogs. I take them out to a walk separately, so I really get to walk. And I communicate with Mother Nature and with the mother trees that I have around me here. And boy, they are a really good steering group. I do appreciate their work. I do journaling and let's say intuitive or conscious painting when I feel like it, when I feel it's necessary, or when there is some sort of information coming through me, a new opening for something, probably. My only daily routine, except with walks with the dogs in the nature, is my morning routine. And that includes mornings with my own rhythm. I hate to start day too early with my clients. I need to have my own time in the morning. And I have this, what I call, is a Saint Café, Saint Coffee, Saint Café moment, when I make the best of coffee that I can have for myself. I enjoy it every time with a little bit of really good chocolate, or if I have some other kind of goodie with me. And I share the moment with my girls, these twin girls that I have. They are about to be 5 years now, and they are my master teachers. They are my dogs. So we have the threesome time with us girls having our Saint Café. And if I can't have my Saint Café, I'll be less grounded during that day. Even though I do my works in the nature and I communicate with the nature and Mother Earth. That's about it. I don't do other kind of meditation because my painting and my walkings and my dipping into the sea, they are meditative. I don't do yoga, but I love to dance Latin dances all by myself, which gives me a full load of feminine energy and joy. And I can express myself the way I want to, because all I have there as audience are the 2 twin girls, the hairy girls. Yeah, that's what I do. Nothing really spiritual in a way that people usually do. Thanks. Love to hear yours.
Thank you, Liz. You know, just want to add that walks in nature, whenever I can, are my preferred choice of meditation. but I'm sometimes not in a position to have nature, especially when I'm downtown Montreal like I am right now. But I totally get you. Walks in nature, connecting with the trees, talking to the birds, you know, that's another way I do it. When I have the opportunity to do it. Most of the time I can find it. How about you, Harriet?
Yeah, well, no coincidence that Lisa and I share so much because maybe it's our culture, but nature, of course, and water. Water is the element I need. So I have my own place where I live. I have a stream of water, so I can kind of listen to the sound of water, and I also go to the sauna, and so yeah, it seems like I need to recharge myself with water, and the sea is very important to me also personally. And quieting myself in different ways with through movement and meditation. Sometimes I don't have these strict rituals, but I have a kind of a way of in the morning when I get up that I'm greeting the sun. And that is kind of, and I'm greeting the Divine Mother because her is I'm here to serve. So I'm kind of, you know, moving and greeting the light that, ooh, what is this day going to bring? And here I am. How can I serve? You know, let this day be good. And maybe not every day, but this is kind of a kind of a habit that has evolved without me really thinking about it. But now when you asked, I had to think about it. So this little habit came up as one thing. Mm.
Yes, connecting to the larger field of life, right? The sun,
The sun, yeah.
the water, the sea. Yes, this is all part of us, you know, the elements that make us, make up our body.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you, Harriet. And what about you, Deborah and Viviane? You want to share what you do?
Well, Aline, I'll go ahead and share. I I have kind of a morning ritual, and because of my health issues, I always take a bath in a whirlpool bathtub, which is very comforting. So again, it's tied in with water, and I do a meditation while I'm bathing. And then when the wind is not blowing too badly or it's not real cold here, I can get outside and play with my dog. And we like to take a few minutes every day to be outside together. And then my painting also is my release. I've been painting mandalas for a couple of years now, and I find the whole process from figuring out what the mandala is going to look like all the way to putting it on the canvas and then actually deciding how I'm going to paint it. So all of that is a very meditative piece, and as I said earlier, I tend to set that aside until Saturday as a way to release all of what I've gone through during the week with people that I'm helping. And as I'm doing this self-reflection, I want to look at how I can integrate that more into my daily routine rather than shifting it all into a time slot. So that's pretty much what I do.
Thank you, Deborah. And Liz was asking, when can you share your mandalas and your painting on Facebook? In Facebook with a question mark, okay? So I know you had a project of putting all that on a website at one point, right?
Right, I was looking into that. I haven't done that, and so I can definitely share some of my paintings. I'll look at maybe putting them into more of a closed website because I don't want them available publicly until I can get the copyrights protected on them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. And what about you, Vivian? Because I'm realizing we are past the hour, so we might conclude with our call in a little while. Give you the opportunity to share your routine with us.
Well, in the morning, I also like to balance all my chakras by doing Reiki, a Reiki treatment on myself first. And I read inspirational writings every day, every morning. And then I send healings to my patients while I'm doing my meditation, my chanting meditation, which I've been doing for 36 years, twice a day, every day, which is Buddhist meditation, which is an open-eyed verbal meditation, and it's really helped me a lot to really internalize and externalize. So that's how I prepare for my day. When the weather is good, I go out on my bike ride. I love riding my bike. I have 3 bikes of my own that depending on the terrain and where I'm going to. And last Saturday I went on a 20-mile ride, which was quite brutal, but it was interesting to go on that with other people. It wasn't just me alone. Usually I go in the desert. I live in the desert. I go on my own. So it was nice to have company. I also find that when I was a professional photographer, every day was a meditation all day long, because I was looking at things through the lens and people and situations, and also depending on what I was photographing for to make a living. I found that I really missed that recently. I put that aside. I have my studio right behind me here, and I can always bring it out. I don't have my dark room anymore because it's not necessary. Now we have digital photography, so anybody can call themselves a photographer. But I specialized in black and white character studies of people. I called them character studies. People used to come in my studio in Toronto from everywhere in Canada, and I was named one of the top 10 photographers in Canada. I had 22 solo exhibitions. And in fact, Eileen, maybe you can find them for me. When I go on the website, I can't. The National Film Board of Canada purchased many of my photographs, and they subsequently put them on a website, which is the National Museum of, I think, of Canada. And I can't see the picture. I can see my name, but I can't see the pictures. They were under my married name, so it would be a different name. So I'm thinking of going back out and doing my photography again, because that really helps me to meditate. I also am a singer, and used to sing in public. I haven't done it for the last maybe 3 months now, and I miss it terribly because it's a really good outlet for me. And people like to hear me sing, which is interesting, and so I enjoy it very much. I enjoy music. Music is my lifesaver, always has been. All kinds of music. I went to see Madame Butterfly last night. It was a wonderful 4 hours experience, and I just loved it. Even though it was the Met, the Opera House. In New York, well, they were actually broadcasting it in the movie theater, so I went to that last night, and I enjoyed every moment of it. So music is very important. Writing poetry is very important to me. I'm putting a compilation right now together for a book of poetry that called Introspections. So I do a lot of different forms of meditation. And at night, when I'm getting ready to go to sleep, I have to let it all go. So I do a lot with the earth and releasing into the earth. So that probably sums it up, although I'm sure I'm leaving some things out. Oh, swimming. Swimming is a great outlet. I think you do it too. I mean, and it's a wonderful outlet. Especially getting into water, like you said, Liz, I couldn't do it in cold water. I'm a hot water person. And warm weather is so important to me because otherwise my muscles just tense up and I can't function. So anyways, that's the sum of it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Viviane, and thank you everybody for sharing your routines, because I'm sure it can give ideas to people who might be watching. And I know Heidi has been watching all along. She's sent a few messages on the event page. I'm not really that good at doing, I like to focus on what's going on in the room, and I'm not really good at answering another message, somebody's message, So thank you very much. And if you want to just come back, come back into the room and just quickly say what you are taking out of today on the new moon. This is the new moon in Aries, I think. And the theme that Marina Orms was sharing is revolution, so self-care, taking that level of self-care honestly and authentically, perhaps, is where we're moving into. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, and in the United States, it's World Health Day. I don't know what that means, but we're in sync. We're doing it.
Yeah. It's also, I read somewhere yesterday that it's a day 11 in numerology, which is a very powerful kind of an energy, 11, numerologically.
And does anybody know what super moon means exactly? Because it's a super moon day, super moon. I think it looks like the moon is closer to us. Is that it?
It possibly could be. I haven't read this, so I don't know.
I'm trying to look it up right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super moon. It looks, as viewed from the Earth, it looks much bigger from
the position of the stars. Then yes, okay. All right. Thank you for having contributed to a super interesting conversation. That's what Liz just typed in the chat, and I chime with that. Thank you very much. It's always such a pleasure to be here with you, and not to be alone in the room, because I cannot conduct a conversation with myself at that point.
Why not? You're an interesting person.
Yes, it could be multi-dialoguing with the different voices in my head. Plenty.
You can try that, Aline, and see what comes out of it.
Yes. Well, I was actually quite willing to stay long if nobody would show up, because you said you might come late, So I said, all right, so let's face all my fears, and let's see what comes out through my voice. I was willing to do it today. I wasn't stressed about it, so some progress.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm going to stop the recording now, and I know if you want to stay a little bit after the broadcast has stopped. So thank you to whoever will be watching later, and inviting you to join us on the full moon, which I believe is going to be the 22nd. So I might actually send a doodle poll out for the time, because I know Bridget in New Zealand has been wanting to join us, but this time it was 4 a.m. in the morning, so maybe I'll kind of change the timing a little bit, depending. So we'll see. All right. Thank you, ladies. And see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.